Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the UES Horizon, watching the stars drift past the main view screen. It had been 3 weeks since they left Earth's orbit, and the deep space exploration mission was going exactly as planned, if he was being honest. Jake missed the excitement of his early days as a pilot, when every mission brought something new and dangerous. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Navigation Officer Sam Hudson was checking their course to the next system. Communications Officer Ryan Brooks monitored the usual background chatter of space traffic. Dr. Lisa Carter was in her lab, probably studying some new bacteria they had collected from the last planet they visited. Jake was about to order a coffee when Ryan suddenly sat up straight in his chair. His fingers flew across his console, and his face went pale. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Ryan said, his voice tight with concern. "It's not human, and it's not coming from any known civilization." Jake leaned forward. In 20 years of space service, he had learned to trust his crew's instincts. "What kind of something?" "It's a transmission, sir. It's very faint, and it's been repeating for hours. The computer says it originated from a system about 12 light years from here." Ryan's hands moved across his controls, fine-tuning the signal. "The language is completely unknown, but the transmission pattern suggests it's a distress call." The bridge fell silent. First contact with an alien species was something every human had dreamed about since they first looked at the stars. But a distress call meant trouble, and trouble in deep space was usually the kind that killed people. "Can you clean up the signal?" Jake asked. "Working on it now, sir." Ryan's expertise with communications equipment was legendary throughout the fleet. If anyone could make sense of alien chatter, it was him. After several minutes of adjustments, a clearer signal came through the speakers. The voice was unlike anything they had ever heard. It was musical, almost like water flowing over rocks, but there was desperation in the tone that needed no translation. The same message repeated over and over, growing weaker with each repetition. "Dr. Carter." "Up here," Jake ordered, "and wake up Lieutenant Parker. If this is what I think it is, we're going to need our best people." Dr. Lisa Carter arrived on the bridge within minutes, her dark hair still messy from sleep. She had been the head of xenobiology at Earth's top university before joining the exploration service. Any human could figure out alien language. It was her. "Play it again, Ryan," Jake said. The musical alien voice filled the bridge once more. Lisa closed her eyes and listened carefully, her mind already working on patterns and structures. After the third repetition, she opened her eyes with excitement. "It's definitely a distress call," she said. "The mathematical concepts are universal. They're broadcasting coordinates, and I think they're asking for help. The emotional content is clear even without understanding the words." Lieutenant Ben Parker entered the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. The Marine officer was built like a tank and had the kind of steady nerves that made him perfect for dangerous situations. "Sorry I'm late, Captain. What's the situation?" Jake quickly explained about the alien transmission. Ben listened without interruption, his face growing more serious with each detail. "So we have aliens in trouble, and we're the only humans in?" "Range to help," Ben summarized. "What do we know about who's causing the trouble?" "That's the question," Jake replied. "Ryan, is there anything else in that transmission?" Ryan had been working steadily while they talked. Now he looked up with a grim expression. "I've been analyzing the background noise, their weapon signatures. Captain, big ones. Whatever's happening to these aliens, they're getting hit hard." Lisa had been studying the alien language patterns on her portable computer. "I'm starting to understand some basic concepts. They call themselves something that translates roughly to Villani. They're asking for help from anyone who can hear them. They mention the strange bipeds from the third planet of Sol specifically." The bridge crew exchanged surprised looks. "They know about us?" Jake asked. "Apparently not much, but they've heard rumors about human space exploration. They're hoping we might help them." Lisa's voice was sad. "Captain, from what I can understand, they've been fighting for 3 months. Their cities are being destroyed, and their people are dying." Jake stood up and walked to the view screen, looking out at the stars. Command decisions like this were why they paid him the big credits. Ship with 200 humans against an unknown enemy with superior firepower was not good odds. But people were dying, and they were the only ones close enough to help. "How long to reach their system?" he asked Sam. "At maximum speed, about 18 hours, sir." "And our weapon status?" Ben answered immediately. "We've got standard exploration ship armament, pulse cannons, torpedo tubes, and defensive screens. We're not a warship, but we can handle most threats." Jake thought about the 200 people under his command, scientists, engineers, marines, and crew members who had signed up for exploration, not war. But the alien voices in that transmission sounded like people calling for help, and Jake had never been able to ignore people in trouble. "Ryan, can you send a response?" Jake asked. "I think so, sir. Dr. Carter has been working on basic translation. Protocols. Tell them help is coming. Don't mention our numbers or capabilities. Just tell them to hold on." As Ryan worked on the message, Lisa continued studying the alien language. The more she learned, the more worried she became. "Captain, I'm getting more details from their transmissions. These Villani seem to be a peaceful species. They're not warriors. They're asking for help because they don't know how to fight back." "Against their attackers. Who's attacking them?" Ben asked. "They call them the Kreth Empire. From what I can understand, the Kreth are conquerors. They take over planets for their resources and don't care about the people who live there." Jake felt a familiar anger building in his chest. Bullies were the same everywhere in the universe, it seemed. "How many Kreth ships are we talking about?" Lisa looked uncomfortable. "From the transmission data, it sounds like they have a full invasion fleet, maybe 50 ships or more." The bridge fell silent again. 150 ships against one was suicide by any reasonable calculation. But Jake thought about the desperate voices in that alien transmission and about the 200 humans who trusted him to make the right decisions. Sam set course for the Villani system. "Maximum speed." "Yes, sir." Ben get. "Your Marines ready for anything. We don't know what we're flying into." "Understood, Captain." "Lisa, keep working on that translation. The more we understand about these aliens and their enemies, the better our chances." Already on it. As the UES Horizon changed course toward the unknown, Jake returned to his command chair. He knew he was probably leading his crew into a fight they couldn't win. But somewhere in space, people were calling for help, and Jake Morrison had never been the kind of man to ignore that call. The stars ahead seemed brighter somehow, as if they were eager to reveal the secrets they held. In 18 hours, humanity would meet its first alien civilization. Jake just hoped some of them would live long enough to tell the story. The UES Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Villani system. And Jake Morrison immediately knew they were too late to prevent a war. The main view screen showed a beautiful blue-green world surrounded by the wreckage of dozens of ships. Debris fields sparkled in the light of the system's yellow star, and energy signatures indicated ongoing battles near the planet's surface. "My God," whispered Sam Hudson from the navigation station. "It's a massacre." Dr. Lisa Carter had spent the entire 18-hour journey working on Villani language translation. Now she stood beside Jake's command chair, her tablet computer filled with alien words and phrases. "Captain, I'm picking up multiple Villani transmissions from the planet. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, asking if the help they requested has arrived." "Answer them," Jake ordered. "Tell them we're here." Ryan Brooks worked quickly at his communications console. After a few moments, he looked up with surprise. "Sir, we're getting a response. They want to establish visual contact." The main view screen flickered and changed to show an alien face that took everyone's breath away. The Villani looked like a cross between a dolphin and a human, with smooth, blue-green skin, large dark eyes, and what appeared to be gills along the sides of their neck. When the alien spoke, their voice was the same musical quality they had heard in the distress calls. Lisa stepped forward and spoke slowly in the alien language she had been learning. "Greetings. We are humans from the planet Earth. We received your call for help." The alien's large eyes grew even wider with amazement. When they replied, Lisa translated for the crew. "His name is Zefka, and he's one of their leaders. He says he's grateful we came, but he's confused about something." "What's confusing him?" Jake asked. Lisa spoke with Zefka again, then turned back to Jake with a worried expression. "Captain, He wants to know where the rest of our fleet is. He's asking when our main invasion force will arrive. Jake felt his stomach drop. Tell him this is it. We're the help. Lisa translated, and they watched Zefka's face change from hope to confusion to something that looked like despair. The alien spoke rapidly, gesturing with webbed hands. Says there are over 50 Kreth warships in the system, Lisa translated. He doesn't understand how one small ship can help against such numbers. He's asking if we're just scouts for a larger force that's coming. Jake stepped closer to the view screen. Even without understanding the alien language, he could see the fear in Zefka's eyes. Tell him we're all the help he's getting, but we didn't come here to run away. As Lisa translated, Zefka looked directly at Jake through the screen. The alien leader spoke again, and Lisa's translation made everyone on the bridge uncomfortable. He says he's grateful for our courage, but he doesn't want us to die uselessly. He says the Kreth are too strong, and we should save ourselves while we can. Lieutenant Ben Parker had been quiet during the conversation, but now he stepped forward. Request permission to speak with their military commander. I need to understand what we're facing. Jake nodded, and Lisa relayed the request. Zefka's expression showed confusion, and his reply surprised everyone. He says they don't really have a military, Lisa translated. They have some people who try to protect their cities, but they're not soldiers like we understand. He's asking what a military commander means. Ben looked stunned. They're fighting a war without soldiers? The conversation continued, with Lisa serving as translator between two completely different ways of thinking. The Villani, it became clear, were a peaceful species that had never developed a warrior culture. Their idea of conflict resolution involved long discussions and compromise. The concept of organized violence was foreign to them. They've been trying to negotiate with the Kreth for 3 months, Lisa explained. They keep offering to share their resources and find peaceful solutions. They don't understand why the Kreth won't talk. Jake felt anger building in his chest. Because bullies don't want to talk, they want to take what isn't theirs. Through the view screen, they could see explosions in the distance behind Zefka. The alien leader looked tired and defeated. When Lisa asked about their defensive capabilities, his answer was even more discouraging. They have shields around their cities, but they're designed to protect against storms and natural disasters, not military weapons. Their technology is focused on healing and building, not fighting. Dr. Carter had been studying her medical scanner, readings of Zefka during the conversation. Now she looked up with concern. Captain, these aliens are physically very different from us. Their bone structure is lighter, their muscle mass is lower, and their healing rates are much slower than humans. They're built for their peaceful water world, not for combat. Engineer Chloe Martinez spoke up from her station. I'm analyzing their technology through the communication link. Their tools are incredibly advanced for construction and medicine, but they have no weapons technology at all. It's like they never thought they would need to hurt anyone. Jake was beginning to understand the scope of the problem. The Villani weren't just losing the war because they were outnumbered. They were losing because they had no idea how to fight. A war. Suddenly, alarm klaxons began blaring throughout the horizon. Sam Hudson's voice cut through the noise. Captain, we've got company. 3 Kreth fighters approaching fast. On the view screen, Zefka's eyes widened with terror as he heard the alarms. He spoke urgently to Lisa. He's telling us to run, she translated. He says the Kreth ships are too dangerous for us. Jake felt the familiar calm that came over him. In combat situations, red alert, battle stations, Ben, get your Marines ready. Ryan, try to open a channel to those Kreth ships. No response from the Kreth, sir, Ryan reported. They're coming in fast, and their weapons are charging. The 3 Kreth fighters appeared on screen, sleek and deadly-looking ships that moved. With predatory grace, they were twice the size of human fighters, and bristled with weapon systems. They're targeting us, Sam reported. Impact in 30 seconds. Jake made a decision that would change everything. All power to forward shields, arm pulse cannons, target the lead fighter. Through the communication link, they could see Zefka watching with amazement and horror. The Villani leader had never seen anyone choose to fight instead of run. The Kreth fighters opened fire first, sending bolts of energy that hammered against the horizon's shields. The ship shook, but held together. Turn fire, Jake ordered. the Horizon's pulse cannons spoke. With deadly accuracy, the first Kreth fighter exploded in a ball of fire, while the second took damage and spun away. The third fighter seemed stunned by the aggressive response and hesitated for a crucial second. "Target the damaged ship," Jake commanded. "Fire." Second, Kreth fighter died in another explosion. The surviving fighter turned and fled at maximum speed, broadcasting what sounded like panicked messages. On the view screen, Zefka stared at the humans with something close to shock. He spoke to Lisa in amazement. "He wants to know how we moved so fast," Lisa translated. "He says he's never seen anyone react that quickly to danger. He's asking if all humans fight like that." Jake looked at the alien leader through the screen. "Tell him we're just getting started. Ask him if we can meet in person. We need to understand each other better if we're going to help his people," Lisa translated. Jake could see hope returning to Zefka's large, dark eyes. The Villani had been fighting alone for months, but now they had allies who weren't afraid to fight back. The real work was just beginning. 2 hours later, Jake Morrison stood in the Horizon's main cargo bay, watching as a strange alien shuttle approached their ship. The Villani craft looked more like a living sea creature than a machine, with smooth curves and what appeared to be fins along its sides. Dr. Lisa Carter stood beside him, still working on her translation tablet. While Lieutenant Ben Parker and his Marines waited nearby in full combat gear, the alien shuttle docked with a soft hiss, and the airlock opened to reveal 3 Villani. Zefka was even more impressive in person, standing nearly 7 feet tall with graceful movements that reminded Jake of a dancer. The other 2 Villani seemed to be scientists, carrying devices that hummed with unknown technology. "Welcome aboard the Use Horizon," Jake said, while Lisa translated his words into the musical Villani language. Zefka replied, and Lisa turned to Jake. Says he's honored to meet the warriors who came to help his people. He's brought their best scientists, Tide Whisper, and their military coordinator, Refna. Jake shook hands with each alien, noting how cool and smooth their skin felt. The Villani seemed fascinated by the simple human gesture, and Tide Whisper immediately began studying Jake's hand with a small scanning device. "Captain," Dr. Carter said, "I'd like to run some medical scans if they don't mind. Understanding their biology might help us figure out how to protect them better." As Lisa translated the request, all 3 Villani showed immediate interest. Tide Whisper spoke excitedly, and Lisa smiled as she translated. "They want to scan us, too. They've never seen a species like humans before." In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Carter worked with Tide Whisper to compare human and Villani biology. What they discovered amazed both species, but for very different reasons. "Captain, you need to see this," Carter called out after an hour of tests. Jake joined her at the medical display, where 2 body scans showed the dramatic differences between human and Villani anatomy. "Look at their bone structure," Carter explained. "It's much lighter than ours, designed for swimming and low-gravity movement. Their muscles are built for efficiency, not strength. And look at this. They have only 1 heart, 1 liver, and their nervous system is completely different from ours." Tide Whisper was studying the human scans with equal fascination. The alien scientist spoke to Lisa, who translated with amazement in her voice. "They're shocked by our biology. They want to know how we survive with such dense bones and heavy muscle mass. They think our internal organs are redundant and wasteful." Dr. Carter smiled. "Tell them our wasteful design is what keeps us alive when things go wrong," Lisa translated. Tide Whisper's large eyes grew even wider. The alien asked several rapid questions. "They want to know what you mean by when things go wrong," Lisa said. "They're asking about our healing rates and pain tolerance." Carter pulled up more data on her screen. "Show them this. Human bone density is 3 times higher than theirs. Our healing rate is 10 times faster. We have backup organs in case our primary ones fail, and our pain tolerance." She paused, thinking of how to explain. "Tell them we can function normally with injuries that would be fatal to most species." As Lisa translated, all 3 Villani exchanged looks of shock and confusion. Riefna, the military coordinator, spoke for the first time. "He wants to know why we evolved to survive so much damage," Lisa translated. "He's asking what kind of world produces creatures like us." Jake stepped forward. Tell them about Earth. For the next hour, Jake and his crew tried to explain humanity's homeworld to beings who had never experienced true danger. They described predators, natural disasters, diseases, and the constant struggle for survival that had shaped human evolution. Our planet has creatures that hunt other creatures for food, Jake explained, while Lisa translated. We had to learn to fight or die. Our weather can kill us. Our ground shakes and breaks open. Fire falls from the sky. Ice covers everything for months at a time. The Villani listened with growing horror and fascination. Zefka asked a question that Lisa translated with difficulty. He wants to know how any species could survive on such a terrible world. He's asking if we're in constant pain from living in such conditions. Dr. Carter laughed. Tell him we think of Earth as beautiful. Those challenges made us stronger. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Parker was having his own educational conversation with Rifna about military tactics. The Villani military coordinator was struggling to understand human concepts of warfare. You mean you attack enemies even when they're not directly threatening you? Lisa translated Rifna's question. Sometimes, Parker admitted. If we know they're planning to hurt innocent people, we try to stop them before they can do it. Rifna looked confused by this concept. Through Lisa, he explained that Villani only fought when directly attacked, and even then, they tried to minimize harm to their enemies. They retreat if they take any significant casualties, Lisa translated. They think it's wrong to continue fighting if people are getting hurt. Parker shook his head in amazement. That explains why they're losing so badly. In human warfare, casualties are expected. We fight harder when our friends get hurt, not less. The cultural exchange was interrupted when the ship's alarms began blaring again. Ryan Brooks's voice came over the intercom. Captain to the bridge immediately. We've got multiple Kreth ships approaching, and they look angry. Jake ran to the bridge with the aliens following behind. The main view screen showed 6 large Kreth warships approaching the horizon in attack formation. These weren't fighters like before. These were full-size battle cruisers with enough firepower to destroy a small moon.
Ow.
Sir, they're broadcasting a message, Ryan reported. It's in Kreth language, but the computer's translating it.
Guys.
Alien voice filled the bridge, speaking in what sounded like threats and demands. The translation appeared on screen, and Jake felt his anger rising as he read the words. The Kreth commander was demanding that the humans surrender immediately. The message called humans primitive savages and threatened to destroy the horizon. If they didn't leave the system within 1 hour. Zefka spoke urgently to Lisa, who translated with worry in her voice. He's begging us to run. Says these are the Kreth Death Guard, their most powerful ships. He doesn't want us to die trying to help his people. Jake looked at the 6 massive enemy ships on screen, then at the frightened alien beside him. Every tactical manual would say running was the smart choice. 6 against 1 was impossible odds by any reasonable calculation. But Jake Morrison had never been reasonable when innocent people needed help. I'm Ryan. Open a channel to the Kreth ships, he ordered. Captain, what are you doing? Ben Parker asked. Jake smiled grimly. I'm going to give them a history lesson. When the channel opened, Jake spoke directly to the Kreth commander. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Horizon. You have one chance to leave this system peacefully. The response came quickly, filled with alien laughter and threats. The translation made it clear that the Kreth thought the lone human ship was either insane or suicidal. Tell them, Jake said calmly, that humans don't abandon their friends. And tell them we're from a world where everything tries to kill us from the day we're born. 6 ships against 1 sounds like fair odds to us. As Ryan transmitted the message, Zefka stared at Jake with amazement. Through Lisa, the Villani leader asked a question that showed how little he understood about humans. He wants to know if you're really willing to die for people you just met, Lisa translated. Jake looked at the alien leader, then at his crew, and finally at the enemy ships on screen. Tell him that's what humans do. We protect those who can't protect themselves, even if it costs us everything. The Kreth response was immediate and violent. All 6 ships opened fire at once. The first barrage of Kreth weapons fire hit the UES horizon like a hammer blow from an angry god. The ship shook violently, throwing everyone on the bridge against their stations. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the lights flickered as the shields absorbed the massive energy assault. Shields down to 60%, Sam Hudson reported, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Hull damage on decks 4 and 7. Jake Morrison gripped his command chair as another wave of enemy fire hammered their defenses. Through the view screen, he could see the 6 Kreth warships spreading out in a perfect attack formation there. Dark hulls bristling with weapon ports that glowed with deadly energy. "Return fire," Jake ordered. "Target the lead ship." The Horizon's pulse cannons responded immediately, sending streams of blue energy toward the nearest Kreth vessel. The human weapons struck the enemy shields and flared harmlessly away, causing no visible damage to the massive warship. Zetka watched the battle with terror in his large dark eyes. The Villani leader spoke urgently to Dr. Lisa Carter, who was struggling to translate while holding on to her station. "He's saying we should run," Lisa shouted over the noise of another impact. "He says human courage is admirable, but this is suicide." "Lieutenant?" Ben Parker was coordinating damage control from his station. "Captain, we're taking a beating. At this rate, our shields will fail in 10 minutes. Jake's mind raced through tactical options. 6 against 1 in a straight fight was indeed suicide, but humans had never been ones to fight fair when lives were at stake. "Sam, can you get us into the planet's atmosphere?" "Yes, sir. But why would we want to do that?" "Because those big ships won't be able to maneuver as well in atmosphere. Ryan, send a message to all Villani forces. Tell them to evacuate the capital city and get to the underwater shelters." "Captain, what are you planning?" Ben asked. Jake smiled grimly, something the Kreth won't expect. "We're going to use their own size against them." The Horizon dove toward the blue-green planet below, with the 6 Kreth warships following close behind. The enemy commander was clearly confident that the fleeing human ship would be easy prey once it was trapped in the planet's gravity well. As they entered the upper atmosphere, Jake could see the beautiful Villani cities spread across floating platforms on the vast oceans. Each city was a work of art, with flowing architecture that seemed to grow from the water itself. It hurt his heart to know that the Kreth were destroying such beauty. "Atmospheric entry in 30 seconds, Sam reported. "Ah! The Kreth ships are still following us." "Good, Chloe. I need everything you can give me from the engines." "Ben, prepare teams for boarding action." Engineer Chloe Martinez looked up from her station in surprise. "Boarding action, sir? Against ships that size?" "Trust me," Jake said. "Ryan, open a channel to the Kreth commander." When the channel opened, Jake spoke calmly, despite the weapon's fire still hammering his ship. "Kreth commander, this is your last warning. Leave this system now, or face the consequences." The reply came in harsh alien laughter. Through the translation system, the Kreth commander's message was clear. Humans were weak cowards who would die like all the other species that opposed the Kreth Empire. Jake nodded. "Ryan, cut the channel. Sam, emergency stop. All power to reverse thrusters." The Horizon suddenly reversed direction in a maneuver that would have been impossible for the larger Kreth ships. The enemy vessels, traveling at high speed through the atmosphere, shot past the human ship before they could react to the unexpected move. "Now," Jake ordered, "full power to engines. Ram the nearest ship." The bridge crew stared at their captain in shock. Ramming was considered a desperate last resort, something you only did when facing certain death anyway, Sir Sam said carefully. "A ramming attack will likely destroy us too, not if we do it right. Target their engine section. We're smaller and more maneuverable. Hit them fast and get out before they can respond." The Horizon accelerated toward the nearest Kreth warship, which was struggling to turn around in the thick atmosphere. The enemy ship was massive, 10 times the size of the human vessel, but its very size made it slow to react. Zefka spoke frantically to Lisa, who translated with amazement. "He wants to know if ramming enemy ships is a normal human tactic." "Tell him it's Tuesday for us," Jake replied, keeping his eyes on the approaching enemy ship. The Horizon struck the Kreth warship just behind its main engine section. The impact sent shockwaves through both ships, but the human vessel's dense construction and redundant systems allowed it to survive. What would have destroyed most other ships? The Kreth warship wasn't so lucky. Its engine section erupted in fire and debris, sending the massive vessel spinning out of control toward the ocean below. "One down, 5 to go," Jake announced. "Evasive maneuvers. Don't let them surround us." What followed was a deadly game of cat and mouse through the Volani planet's atmosphere. The remaining Kreth ships tried to use their superior firepower to overwhelm the lone human vessel, but Jake and his crew used every trick they had learned. In their years of dangerous exploration, they hid in cloud banks, used the planet's magnetic field to confuse enemy sensors, and struck from unexpected angles before disappearing again. The Kreth, used to facing enemies who fought in organized formations, had no idea how to deal with such unpredictable tactics. Lieutenant Parker led boarding parties through damaged sections of Kreth ships, using human agility and pain tolerance to fight in conditions that would stop most species. His Marines moved through burning corridors and damaged systems like they were taking a walk in the park. "These Kreth are tough," Parker reported over his radio, "but they panic when things go wrong. They're not used to fighting in damaged ships." "Doctor." Carter was treating wounded crew members in the medical bay when Tidewhisper approached her with obvious amazement. The Volani scientist spoke rapidly, and Lisa translated from her position, helping with the injured.
Right.
"Tidewhisper wants to know how our wounded are still fighting," Lisa said. "Petty Officer Jones has 3 broken ribs and a concussion, but he's still working at his station." Carter looked at Jones, who was indeed still operating his engineering console, despite injuries that would have hospitalized a Volani for weeks. "Tell Tidewhisper that humans are very hard to stop when we're protecting people we care about."
Oh.
Battle continued for 2 hours, with the horizon dancing between the increasingly frustrated Kreth warships. The human ship took terrible damage, but somehow kept fighting. Sections of the hull were open to space, half the weapons were offline, and the crew was running on emergency power, but the Kreth were faring worse. Their rigid tactics and inability to adapt to unexpected situations left them vulnerable to human creativity. One by one, the massive warships fell to ramming attacks, improvised explosives, and boarding actions that no sane species would attempt. When the last Kreth warship finally exploded in a ball of fire over the Volani Ocean, the bridge of the horizon fell silent except for the sound of damaged systems and heavy breathing. Zephk stared at the human crew with something approaching. Through Lisa, he asked a question that revealed how completely the battle had changed his understanding of the universe. "He wants to know if all human military encounters are this violent," Lisa translated. Jake looked around at his battered crew, then at the alien leader who had witnessed something no Volani had ever imagined possible. "Tell him this was just a warm-up," Jake said. "Tell him his people are safe now." Outside the view screen, the beautiful Volani cities began to emerge from their underwater shelters, returning to the surface of their peaceful world. But the galaxy had changed forever. Word of the battle would spread, and every species would know that humans were not to be underestimated. The Kreth Empire had learned a lesson they would never forget. Sometimes the small ships bite back. 3 days after the battle, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the rebuilt medical bay of the UES Horizon, watching Dr. Lisa Carter work alongside Volani healers to treat the last of the wounded crew members. The ship bore scars from the fight that would take months to fully repair, but somehow they had all survived. Engineer Chloe Martinez entered the medical bay with a smile on her face. "Captain, the new Volani power systems are online. Our technology is incredible. We'll have full shields and weapons back within hours." Jake nodded, but his attention was focused on the conversation happening between Dr. Carter and Tidewhisper, the Volani scientist. The two had become close friends over the past few days, sharing knowledge that would benefit both species for generations to come. "The Volani healing technology is amazing," Carter explained to Jake. "They can regrow damaged organs and repair nerve damage that we thought was permanent. But they're equally amazed by our natural healing abilities." Tidewhisper spoke to Lisa, who was nearby organizing medical supplies. Lisa translated with a smile. "Tidewhisper says watching humans heal from battle wounds has taught them more about biology in 3 days than they learned in the past 100 years." Lieutenant Ben Parker joined them, walking without the limp he had carried since the second Kreth ship exploded near his boarding party. The Volani medical treatment had repaired damage to his leg that human medicine would have taken months to fix. "Captain, I just finished the debrief with Refna about the battle, Parker reported. The Villani military coordinator is completely reorganizing their defense forces based on what he learned from us. What kind of changes? Jake asked. They're training their people to fight in damaged conditions, teaching them to ignore minor injuries, and developing new tactics that don't rely on perfect formation flying. Rifna says they never realized that flexibility could be more valuable than overwhelming firepower. Through the medical bay windows, they could see the beautiful Villani cities on the ocean surface below. The floating platforms had been repaired and expanded, but now they included new defensive systems designed with human input. The peaceful aliens were learning to protect themselves without losing their gentle nature. Zefka entered the medical bay, moving with the graceful swimming motion that all Villani used even on dry land. The alien leader had spent much of the past 3 days in deep conversation with Jake, trying to understand how beings could be both warriors and protectors. Captain Morrison, Zefka said through Lisa's translation, I have received messages from the Villani Council of Oceans. They wish to offer humanity a formal alliance. Jake felt a surge of pride and responsibility. What does that mean exactly? Zefka gestured toward a portable display that showed star charts of the local region. There are 17 other species in this sector that the Kreth Empire has been threatening. News of your victory here has spread quickly. These species are asking if humans would help protect them too. Dr. Carter looked up from her medical work with surprise. 17 species? How many civilizations are out there? Hundreds, Zefka replied through Lisa. Most are peaceful like us. They build and create and explore, but they do not know how to fight. The Kreth have been growing stronger for decades, taking over systems one by one. Till now, no one has been able to stop them. Jake walked to the window and looked out at the peaceful Villani cities. 3 days ago, these people had been facing extinction. Now they were safe, and apparently humanity had accidentally become the galaxy's protectors. Captain Ryan Brooks called over the intercom from the bridge. We're receiving a transmission from Earth Fleet Command. Admiral Thompson wants to speak with you directly. Jake made his way to the bridge, where the main view screen showed the familiar face of Admiral Sarah Thompson. The Admiral looked tired but excited as she began speaking. Captain Morrison, your report about the Villani situation has caused quite a stir here on Earth. We're getting diplomatic. Requests from species we didn't even know existed. How many requests, Admiral? Jake asked. 47 so far, and more? Coming in every hour. Apparently word of your victory has spread through some kind of galactic communication network. Every peaceful species in 3 sectors is asking for human protection against the Kreth Empire. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. What are our orders, ma'am? Admiral Thompson smiled. Congress is meeting an emergency session to establish the Terran Protection Service. We're building a new fleet specifically designed to help species that can't defend themselves. You're being promoted to Commodore and given command of the 1st Squadron. The bridge crew exchanged excited looks. Jake felt honored, but also concerned. Admiral, we're talking about protecting dozens of species across hundreds of star systems. That's a massive responsibility. It is, Thompson agreed. But apparently the galaxy has decided that humans are the species best suited for the job. The Villani have already agreed to share their medical technology with us. 5 other species are offering to help build our new ships. And the Kreth Empire has declared you personally to be their greatest enemy? Jake laughed at that last part. Suppose that's better than being ignored. There's more, the Admiral continued. Intelligence reports suggest that the Kreth are gathering a massive fleet to attack Earth directly. They consider humanity to be a threat to their expansion plans. The bridge fell silent at this news. Attacking peaceful species was one thing, but threatening Earth was something entirely different. Lieutenant Parker spoke first. Admiral, how long do we have to prepare? 6 months? Maybe 8? The Kreth moves slowly, but when they do move, they bring everything they have. This won't be like the fight you just had with 6 ships. We're talking about sending 1,000 warships to destroy Earth. Jake looked around at his crew, then at Zefka, who had followed him to the bridge and was listening to the translation. With growing alarm, Admiral requests permission to begin recruiting allies immediately. If the Kreth won a war, Let's make sure they get one they'll never forget. Over the next few hours, the plans began taking shape. The Villani would provide advanced medical technology and underwater construction techniques. 3 other species offered manufacturing capabilities and shield technology. 2 more promised ships and crews to fight alongside humanity. But the most important moment came when Zefka made an announcement that surprised everyone. "Captain Morrison," he said through Lisa's translation, "the Villani Council has made a decision. We wish to learn how to fight." Jake stared at the peaceful alien leader. "Are you sure? Fighting changes you. Once you know how to hurt others, you can never completely go back to who you were before." Zefka was quiet for a long moment before responding. "We have learned that there are beings in the universe who will hurt innocent people for profit and power. We cannot allow that to continue. The Villani choose to become warriors so that other peaceful species will not have to." Dr. Carter wiped tears from her eyes as she translated Zefka's final words. "We choose to learn from the humans who came from the death world so that we can protect those who cannot protect themselves." Jake felt a mixture of pride and sadness. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of that change. The peaceful species were learning that sometimes violence was necessary to protect innocence. 6 months later, when the massive Kreth invasion fleet arrived at Earth, they found something they had never expected. Waiting for them were not just human ships, but vessels from dozens of species who had decided to stand together against tyranny. The battle for Earth became the stuff of legends. But that is a story for another time. For now, it was enough to know that humanity had found its place in the galaxy as the protectors of those who could not protect themselves. And somewhere in space, the Kreth Empire was learning that attacking peaceful species was much more dangerous. When those species had friends from the death world called Earth,